Went to the hospital to get medication for my pregnant girlfriend, but accidentally saw her lying in a hospital room. With a guilty look, she looked at the white moonlight before her. I'm sorry. I really didn't expect to get pregnant. Being with Faye Ishuan was just because I wanted to see if you actually cared about me. The white moonlight immediately questioned her. So when exactly are you willing to break up with him? She shook her head, a malicious look on her face. He made us misunderstand each other for so long. I want to make him feel guilty, to unconditionally pay for me, to pay for us. Don't worry, I don't love him. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes today, I really wouldn't have believed that Ji Ningxing, whom I've loved for 6 years, would treat me like this. My hands trembled, and I could barely hold my phone. With great effort, I sent her a WeChat message. Sheng Sheng, where are you? The Ji Ningxing in front of me made a shushing gesture, then said into the phone in a fake, gentle voice, I made you some sweet soup. I'm bringing it to you now. As soon as she finished speaking, my phone's screen lit up. Shenshi reached out and touched her head, his tone full of guilt. It's all my fault. I can't give you what you want. Ji Ningxing, however, held his hand back, smiling as she said, I'll just say I had a car accident on the way, and the baby is gone. With his personality, he'll definitely feel guilty to death. Once I get the house and the car I want, we can get married. He's the one who broke us up. He owes us all of this. My breathing hitched. A house and a car? I had indeed promised to buy her a house. It was the wedding house we had dreamed of, our future shared home, but I never thought that the person she imagined living in it with was not me. I looked down at the medication in my hand. My heart, that was once full of anticipation, now only filled with endless irony and bitterness. At this moment, my mother sent me another message urging me to get married. Ishuan, didn't you say you would bring your girlfriend home tonight? Where is she? I had been with Ji Ningxing for 6 years and hadn't told my parents, just worried that they would look down on her background. Since she was pregnant, I had planned to bring her home and present it as a fait accompli. I sighed and replied, Mom, let's set a time to meet with Uncle Sue's daughter you mentioned last time. My mother seemed not to believe it and called me directly. Son, you really agreed to a blind date? If that's the case, let's do it tonight. Okay. I nodded. A business marriage with the Sue family was not a bad thing. I turned around and threw the medication into the trash can, then acted like nothing had happened and went back to the company. As expected, as soon as I arrived at the company, Ji Ningxing called me Ishuan. I was hit by a car. The car was driving very fast, and it fled the scene. She said, intermittently, her voice shaking as if she was about to cry. Our baby. What should we do? I said coldly. Do you need me to call an ambulance for you? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Then she started crying her heart out. A kind person has already sent me to the ambulance. But our baby seems to be gone. Ishuan, it's all my fault. I just wanted to make you some sweet soup. I didn't expect. If it were before, hearing her say that, my heart would ache, and I would want to rush to her side immediately. But now I only felt disgusted, extremely disgusted. I deliberately moved the phone away. The signal is bad here. I'm hanging up. Half an hour later, she sent me a photo of herself lying on a hospital bed. Ishuan, the doctor said, the baby is gone. I'm very sad. Can you come and be with me tonight? I laughed and didn't reply. At this time, the secretary walked in with some documents and asked President Fei about the new hire Supervisor Shen, who's starting tomorrow. Which project do you think he should be assigned to? I took Shen Shi's resume and flipped through it casually. He was a high school graduate. If Ji Ningxing hadn't begged me, saying he was her friend, I wouldn't have even glanced at it. At the time, I thought Ji Ningxing was just being kind-hearted, unable to bear that her friend didn't have a job. Now I understand everything was just wishful thinking on my part. She just wanted her white moonlight to be under my nose, making it easier for them to get closer. I looked at the secretary and said, notify him. He doesn't need to come. We'll give him the compensation he's due. The secretary didn't seem surprised at all. Instead, it looked like he was relieved and said, okay, President Fei, the HR department wasn't very satisfied with him either. I'll notify him right away. After dealing with work matters, I realized that there were many missed calls from Ji Ningxing on my phone, as well as a barrage of WeChat messages asking, Ishuan, what's going on? The HR department of your company said they don't want Shenshi. Did they even ask you about it? Do they even know that Shenshi is backed by you? They're going too far. Fire them all? Seeing that I didn't reply, she started acting pitiful again. Ishuan, my stomach hurts so much. The doctor said I'm weak after the miscarriage and shouldn't get too upset. So please vent your anger for me. When are you finally coming to see me? I'm so scared all alone in the hospital. I took a deep breath, for a moment not knowing what to reply, so I directly turned off my phone. That evening, I arrived at the restaurant where I was supposed to meet Su Liyuan. She had arrived early, and she smiled lightly at me. Fei Ishuan, long time no see. I paused for a moment, and she continued, wow, are you so forgetful? When you were little, you were always pulling on me and saying you were going to marry me. I remembered she was the little girl who always came to my house when I was little. I only knew that she was the daughter of one of my dad's friends, and after their family went abroad, we lost contact. Seeing that I looked depressed, she asked, are you unhappy to see me as your blind date? I quickly shook my head. No, I'm happy, very happy today. The food came, and it was all my favorite. She handed me a gift and said, it's been a long time, and I didn't have much to give you. This is what I asked your aunt about. She said it's your favorite record. After dinner, I agreed to the marriage alliance with the Su family. Su Liyuan laughed at me for being childish, but I was very certain. Ji Ningxing, who had been with me for 6 years, didn't know me as well as Su Liyuan did. When I got home, I glanced at the kitchen, and there wasn't even a trace of cooking, let alone sweet soup. I sneered. Ji Ningxing's lying skills were really getting worse, but I used to believe her every word. I started sorting through Ji Ningxing's things, just wanting her to disappear from my life as soon as possible. But unexpectedly, I found a gift list which clearly listed the various things that Xinshi liked. She didn't even know my favorite food, but had memorized Xinshi's preferences clearly. Next to it was a photo album. When I opened it, it was full of pictures of Ji Ningxing and Xinshi. Each photo had love messages written on the back. As I continued to flip through, 2 tickets to Switzerland fell out with a sticker that read, this is the 7th stop of Xinshi and me traveling the world, looking forward to it. So, going abroad for a trip with her girlfriend was fake. Going on vacation with her white moonlight was real. I had always suggested traveling with her before, but she always had different reasons to refuse. I felt a twinge in my heart. It would be a lie to say I wasn't sad. I sat on the balcony, smoked a whole pack of cigarettes, then called my secretary. Help me sell this house in Garden Residence. The secretary stammered, then said, I was just about to call you. Miss G called me many times, saying that she couldn't get in touch with you. Do you think we should? I interrupted him. No need, in the future, you don't need to answer her calls. Things were packed. It's Sheng. I'm so scared alone in the hospital. I miss you. Seeing that I didn't answer, Ji Ningxing lowered her voice outside the door and said, Fei Yixuan doesn't know what's going on. He's so strange today. I don't know if he's angry that I wasn't careful. Don't worry. I'll shout here a bit and he'll definitely feel sorry for me and open the door. He's always been a lapdog for me. He'll believe everything I say. I put away the trace of reluctance I had just felt and walked straight to the guest bedroom. If you want to act pitiful, then I'll make it happen for you. The next morning, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Ji Ningxing curled up on the ground, with Xinshi behind her. She looked up, her face full of anger and grievance. Yixuan, what do you mean? You actually changed the password at home. Do you know how long I've been waiting here? Also, why didn't you come to the hospital last night? I looked down at her, my tone ice cold. Why would I go see you? She was stunned. Then her eyes turned red, on the verge of tears. What are you saying? Yixuan, I had a car accident to bring you sweet soup. Our baby is gone, and you're asking why? As she spoke, tears rolled down her face. That was our baby. Ji Ningxing's shouts attracted neighbors from the villa area to come and watch. The neighbors, not knowing the full story, began to criticize me. You two have been living together for so long. You should get married. The poor girl just had a miscarriage for you. How can you be so cold-blooded? They say he's the president of a company, but I didn't expect him to be this kind of person. Used her and then discarded her, starting to dislike her now. Huh? Hearing these words, Ji Ningxing cried and looked at everyone. No, Yixuan isn't that kind of person. We love each other very much. I won't let you say that about him. Then she turned around, looking at me with a face full of grievance. Yixuan, are you blaming me? Blaming me for being careless and losing our baby? It's okay. We can have another one. Just as I was about to speak, Xinshi swung a punch at me, landing directly on my face. His eyes were red as he questioned, Are you even a man? How much hardship has Sheng suffered for you? Do you know how helpless and scared she was when she was lying in that hospital bed? You're a boyfriend, but you don't care about her. Do you not want to take responsibility? I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and returned the punch to Xinshi's jaw. Looking at his disheveled state on the ground, I laughed inwardly. My martial arts training wasn't for nothing. I pointed at Xinshi on the ground. You really want to take responsibility? You can just take responsibility then. Ji Ningxing looked at me, panicked, not daring to help Xinshi. Yixuan, I told you, Xinshi and I are just friends. We're just innocent. He was worried when you didn't open the door for me last night. That's why he came. As my boyfriend, instead of being grateful to him, you even hit him. How could you do this? At this moment, the secretary walked over with a few real estate agents. President Fei. They said they're here to take photos to put the house on the market. I nodded, indicating for them to go in. But then Ji Ningxing rushed over like a madwoman and grabbed one of the real estate agents. What are you doing? The real estate agent was startled and carefully replied, Mr. Fei wants to sell the house. We're here to take photos. Ji Ningxing turned to me, her eyes filled with confusion. Then, it was as if she suddenly understood something, and she sobbed as she said, Yixuan, you're planning to sell this place and then buy our wedding home, right? I know you didn't come see me because you feel guilty. I don't blame you. Maybe it's just not meant to be with our baby. Guilty? I sneered and walked to the door, throwing her luggage outside. I just think the house is glowing green. It's bad luck. Ji Ningxing, we're done. Ji Ningxing's face turned pale instantly. It was as if she had heard something unbelievable. She stared at me, her eyes wide open. Done? Done? Yixuan, what are you saying? Did I hear you wrong? We're about to get married. As she spoke, she tried to cling to me. I pushed her to the ground in disgust and directly showed the video I took at the hospital that day. Ji Ningxing, you're disgusting. And even after all of this, you still refuse to admit it? When you were eating my food, living in my house, and using my money to support your lover, how come you didn't think of this ending? Ji Ningxing shook her head, still wanting to struggle. I simply played the video, turned the volume up as loud as it could go. I wanted to see just how thick her skin was. In the video, Ji Ningxing and Shunshi comforted each other, openly plotting. After watching the video, her expression changed drastically. She reached out to grab the phone, crying as she said, It's not like that. Yixuan, believe me, the baby was really ours. It was just an accident that I miscarried. The neighbors around her only then began to realize what was going on and started to criticize Ji Ningxing. She got an abortion herself and then acted so pitiful. And even brought her lover to the door. There are all kinds of people in the world. I almost called the police to help her just now. I didn't expect she was the one lying. I pointed at her stomach and mocked. You didn't miscarry because of me, so do you think I'm a fool with a lot of money? Ji Ningxing was lying on the ground, panicked. Even so, you can't break up with me. You promised me. You promised you would marry me. At this time, Su Liyuan walked from behind her. I took her hand. I'm going to get married, but the bride is not you. After I finished speaking, I walked straight towards Su Liyuan, and Ji Ningxing, seeing this, rushed over and pushed Su Liyuan away, shrilly questioning. Who are you? Do you know that Fei Yixuan has a girlfriend? Su Liyuan looked down at her. I know, but you two have broken up, haven't you? Actually, I had told her about Ji Ningxing's incident last night. She wasn't very surprised after hearing it, and just sighed that I had met the wrong person. Shunshi also got up from the ground, pointing at me and saying, Sheng had a miscarriage at the hospital, but you're going behind her back to marry another woman. Are you even a man? I was almost laughing at this, but before I could speak, the neighbors had already had enough. Are you a man? Are you a man when you let her use Mr. Fei's money to support you? Shunshi's face flushed. Why are you sticking your nose in other people's business? It's none of your damn business. I no longer paid attention to them. Instead, I took Su Liyuan's hand and left. Su Liyuan sat next to me, cautiously sneaking glances at me. My President Fei, are you really sure about this? Is this not just to make her angry? I looked at the driver and said, Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Su Liyuan was shocked. Then her face flushed red as she lowered her head. When we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, she realized that the relatives and friends of both families were already waiting there. I looked at Su Liyuan seriously. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you last night. I was planning on giving you a surprise. Su Liyuan happily said, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Actually, I've always liked you. The marriage alliance was also something I brought up. The proposal went smoothly, and both families decided to register the marriage first and hold the wedding later. A few days later, when I returned to the company, I actually encountered Shunshi again. The secretary said in a panic, President Fei, I was just about to call you. This Mr. Shun is making a fuss, demanding that we give him an explanation. I nodded. Let him come in and talk. As a result, Shunshi furrowed his brows and roared. Why do I have to go in? I'm going to say it right here. You're such a big company. You gave me an offer and then broke your promise. Is that legal? I looked at him with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. It's not legal, so what? Do you not have self-awareness? Shunshi probably didn't expect me to say that, so he raised his neck and yelled to the people inside the company. You're President Fei. He's fantasizing about my relationship with Sheng. I haven't even said he slandered me. He's refusing to hire me because of his personal feelings. What qualification does a man like that have to be president? I was amused by his behavior. This is a Fei family business. If I don't do it, will you? I turned to the secretary. Call the police. Ji Ningxing rushed in at this moment. looking at Shunshur with concern. How are you? You said they hit you. How could they hit people? The secretary's face was livid. We've never hit anyone. There are security cameras here. Ji Ningxing only then noticed me and let go of Shunshur's hand as if she had been electrocuted. Yixuan, we've been having a cold war for days. Why haven't you forgiven me? I told you, it was all a misunderstanding. I even bought tickets to Switzerland in advance. I was planning to go with you. She said with a tearful voice. We've been together for 6 years. Don't argue over such a small matter, okay? I pointed at Shunshur and asked, Switzerland? Isn't that the 7th stop of you and Shunshur traveling the world? How did it suddenly become a trip with me? The company colleagues all started to whisper among themselves. Hey, wasn't President Fei very doting on her before? How come they're breaking up now? Isn't it obvious? It's definitely because of that guy next to her. At this time, Su Liyuan walked over with a bag of wedding invitations. Seeing the situation in front of her, she asked, puzzled, Husband, what happened? Husband? Everyone looked at me. Ji Ningxing, when she realized what was happening, grabbed Su Liyuan's hair. You homewrecker. I've been with Yixuan for 6 years. Who are you calling husband? I quickly pried Ji Ningxing's hand off, then shielded Su Liyuan in my arms. Wife, are you okay? Su Liyuan smoothed her messed up hair and walked over to Ji Ningxing with a cold face, giving her a slap. Yixuan and I have already registered our marriage. You cheated on Yixuan first, and you still have the nerve to cause trouble? What if you've been together for 6 years? You and your little gigolo have been together for more than 6 years. Ji Ningxing was stunned by the slap, and the bag in Su Liyuan's hand fell to the ground, scattering the wedding invitations all over. Su Liyuan picked up a wedding invitation and looked at the crowd. I'm here to hand out wedding invitations today. Please remember to come to our wedding. Ji Ningxing shook her head violently. How could this be? Fei Yixuan, you were supposed to marry me. I took out my phone and showed the two of them the photo album I had taken earlier. I thought you would be smart and leave with some dignity, but I didn't expect you to be so shameless. You know better than me about these photos. How long have you been cheating on me? Shunshur snatched my phone and threw it on the ground, stomping on it a few times. He gritted his teeth and said, Fei Yixuan, if you hadn't come and stolen her from me, Sheng and I would have been together a long time ago. What does it mean for you to do this for us? I sneered and looked at Ji Ningxing. I stole her from you? Ji Ningxing, I still have the WeChat messages where you confessed to me. Ji Ningxing looked innocent and wronged. Back then you clearly advised me to move on. If you hadn't said Shunshur didn't love me anymore, how could I? I had originally been confused as to why Ji Ningxing would say that I had caused misunderstandings between them. But I understood now. It turned out my kind-hearted words of comfort had turned into meddling in her words. I pointed at Shunshur and said, But at that time, you said he was cheating on you. Should I have said he loved you very much? Shunshur shook his head guiltily. I looked at my phone on the ground, smashed beyond recognition, and then said to the secretary, Did you call the police for property damage? The secretary looked out the door. I already called the police. They should be here soon. Hearing that the police had been called, Shunshur grabbed Ji Ningxing and tried to leave. This kind of disgusting company. Even if you begged me to come, I wouldn't. Let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, the police arrived. After understanding what had happened, the police took Shunshur back to the police station for questioning. As the one who suffered property damage, I had to go as well. At the police station, I refused to reconcile. In the end, Shunshur could only grit his teeth and pay for my phone. Less than a week away from the wedding date between the Fei family and the Su family, Ji Ningxing went to cause trouble at my parents' place. She was actually live streaming, crying outside the Fei family villa. I've been with Fei Yixuan for 6 years, and I had a miscarriage for him, but he's going behind my back on blind dates and getting married in a flash. My mother's face looked awful as she shook her head. Are you sure you've got the right person? Yixuan has never mentioned having a girlfriend. Ji Ningxing looked as if she had never expected this and cried even harder. How is that possible? I think you're the ones who caused us to break up. Is it because the Fei family looks down on me? Do you think I'm Cinderella and have tried to break us apart? It must be you. If it wasn't for you, how would Yixuan suddenly become so cold to me? The marriage between the two families was already the talk of the town, and this made the number of viewers on her stream skyrocket. Many netizens began to speak out on her behalf. Are all the rich like this? Once the novelty wears off, they just throw them away. Oh my God, isn't this a playboy? Good for her for causing such a commotion. If you hadn't said it, we wouldn't have known the Fei family was this kind of people. We should boycott them. Boycott everything from the Fei group. You scumbag. You've been together for so long, but didn't tell your family. It's obvious that he just saw you as a backup plan. My mother said, feeling helpless and angry. Then what do you want? Ji Ningxing wiped her tears and said, I don't want anything, but the Fei family has to compensate me for my emotional distress, right? 6 years of relationship, and I even had a child. 10 million isn't too much, is it? Seeing that there were so many people in the live stream supporting her, my mother didn't want to make things worse and was about to agree. Then I walked out of the villa and sneered. 10 million? I haven't even made you pay for my losses yet. You secretly had our child aborted, and you were cheating on me with Shin Shi. Why don't you talk about those? My mother looked at me in shock. How could you? Then she lowered her voice and said, How could you be so useless? Ji Ningxing clearly knew that I had evidence of her cheating, but still dared to be so self-righteous and causing trouble. I looked at Ji Ningxing and asked her, word by word, Do you think that I'll go soft and let you off? Do you think that I'll agree to your request? While saying this, I put up all the photos that I had taken of them together previously and their conversations at the hospital on social media. If you're going to be a gossip, don't let people just get half of the story. Ji Ningxing looked at me in a panic. Fei Yixuan, you weren't like this before? Do you really not have any feelings for me anymore? A few minutes later, after reading my social media posts, the netizens started cursing at Ji Ningxing. Wow, they went on one trip a year. Switzerland is the 7th stop. That means she had already started cheating on that poor guy when they were together for the first year. She intentionally had an abortion. Unforgivable. How terrifying. So, she wanted to make that poor guy feel guilty so that she could use his money to support her little lover. What a shameless green tea. And a little lover who is relying on a woman for support. They deserve each other. Ji Ningxing quickly ended the live stream, pointing at me and yelling, But my abortion was also because of you. You should give me this little bit of compensation. My mother was furious and retorted, How do we know if that child was even Yixuan's? Or that gigolo's? It's Fei Yixuan's. If you don't believe me, I'll have the hospital do a DNA test. Ji Ningxing said, her voice breaking, as if she had suffered a great injustice. I sneered. Whether it's mine or not, what does it matter? We're over. After saying that, I turned and went back into the villa. I was too lazy to look at her again, no matter how she yelled and cursed outside. 2 days later, I accompanied Su Liyuan to try on wedding dresses. The pure white wedding dress made her look even more radiant, and I was mesmerized by her. Suddenly, my phone made a loud alarm. I looked down and saw it was the alarm for the house in the suburbs. It suddenly occurred to me that Ji Ningxing also knew the password to that house. I opened the surveillance video, and Ji Ningxing's figure appeared on the screen. She was drunk and half supported by Shin Shi, the two of them stumbling and leaning against the door. Su Liyuan glanced at the phone screen and asked me with a half smile, Are you jealous? I shook my head, the corners of my mouth forming a cold smile. Now she won't be able to come bother us in the future. Su Liyuan didn't say anything else and continued to try on wedding dresses happily. I put on my headphones and stared at the phone screen. In the picture, Ji Ningxing was kissing Shin Shi's neck and saying sickeningly sweet words, Shin Shi. I didn't expect that Fei Yixuan would find out so early. She paused for a moment and said again, In that case, let's get pregnant now, and I'll tell him that the child wasn't miscarried. Shin Shi was panting heavily, impatiently saying, I can't wait any longer. How about right here at the door? There's no one around anyway. Ji Ningxing nibbled on his ear. Anywhere you want. Then, she said in a mocking tone, That Fei Yixuan is so stupid. He definitely didn't expect that we were in that house before. Even though I had already drawn a line between myself and Ji Ningxing, I couldn't help feeling anger burning through my veins as I listened to those words. I quickly saved the video and then called the police. Officer, the alarm at my house went off. Can you arrange for someone to go over there with me? After hanging up the phone, I took Su Liyuan's hand and kissed the back of it lightly. Let's go. I'll take you to watch a good show. Half an hour later, I arrived at the door of the villa in the suburbs with a group of media friends who had heard the news and 2 confused police officers. On the steps outside the villa, the 2 of them, disheveled, were putting on a live porn show. Under the dim street lights, the scene was disgusting. The police shined a bright flashlight on their bodies. What are you doing? It's the middle of the night in a public place. Ah! Shin Shi was startled and quickly pushed Ji Ningxing away. In a panic, he covered his private parts. Ji Ningxing, however, was completely drunk and clung to his neck. What? I'm having fun with my beloved Shin Shi. She giggled, her drunken voice echoing in the night air, very depraved. Shin Shi frantically struggled free and hurriedly put on his clothes. His face was livid as he pointed at the media friends behind me. What are you filming? I'll sue you for violating my right to privacy. The 2 police officers looked at each other, dumbfounded, and then took the 2 of them to the police station. At the police station, after sobering up, Ji Ningxing put on a pitiful look when she saw me. She stumbled over, grabbing my sleeve, and said with a tearful voice, "I knew you still cared about me. Do you know, when I was drunk, all I could think about was you." She looked up at me, her eyes wet with tears, trying to awaken the pity I once had for her. My friend couldn't bear to watch any longer and directly took out his phone and showed her the video that he had taken earlier. "You could only think of Yixuan? Then what were you doing earlier? Huh? With your true love, Shinshi, putting on a show?" He paused deliberately and then said in a mocking tone, "Putting on a show?" After watching the video, Ji Ningxing's face turned pale, and her mouth was open wide as she remained speechless for a long time. Shinshi sat to the side, staring at us venomously, gritting his teeth as he said, "If these videos are released, I'll sue you to death. I'll make sure you can't get away with this." Then he slammed his hand on the table. "How can you just let them film my videos? How can you act as police officers like this?" The police officer sighed helplessly. "We also filmed it. This is evidence that you illegally broke into other people's property. But don't worry, we won't release the video from our body cams." Shinshi stammered and said, "We didn't even go inside the house. How does that count as breaking in?" "I think you're just afraid of Fei Yixuan's family's power. You must have taken money from them." Ji Ningxing's face suddenly turned pale, and with trembling hands, she pointed at Shinshi and shouted in a broken voice, "You! How could you take advantage of me when I was drunk?" Shinshi was stunned, looking at her in disbelief. "Sheng. You!" Ji Ningxing cried, her voice breaking, and grabbed my hand with a grieved look, begging, "It was him. It was Shinshi who took advantage of me. Yixuan, I only have you in my heart. I've never been unfaithful to you." As she spoke, she completely disregarded everything and threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly. I pushed her away in disgust and shouted angrily, "Don't touch me." Ji Ningxing's accusation of assault changed the situation. The police immediately held Shinshi down, and Shinshi struggled wildly, yelling, "No, she did it willingly." Ji Ningxing was still trying to salvage the situation, accusing Shinshi. "He can't let go of me. He knew that I was with Yixuan and still wanted to win me back. He forced me." As I watched her lie so confidently, I only thought that my past 6 years had been completely wasted. I took out my phone and played the surveillance video that I had just recorded to the police. "Here is the evidence. The truth of what happened is all here." Shinshi looked at me gratefully and choked out, "Yes, she did it willingly." The reason I did this wasn't really to help Shinshi, but to disgust Ji Ningxing. After watching the video, the police frowned and sternly reprimanded Ji Ningxing. "Miss Ji, you are violating the law by slandering others and making a false police report. Do you understand that?" Ji Ningxing looked at me, her face dark, and then it seemed like she gave up struggling and arguing, and said in a low voice, "I never expected it, Fei Yixuan. Our 6 years together weren't worth the few short days that you've had with your new love." Su Liyuan retorted, "How do you know that we've only known each other for a few short days? I've known Yixuan longer than you." Ji Ningxing stopped talking. In the end, the police detained them for 3 days for disturbing the peace. That night, my media friend released the censored video on the internet. The netizens quickly found out that the location of the incident was property that belonged to me. Combined with Ji Ningxing's previous live stream incident, the public opinion quickly turned against her, and it was confirmed that she was the person in the video. She and Shinshi probably wouldn't dare to go online again for the rest of their lives. But what does that have to do with me? A few months later, I accompanied Su Liyuan to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. In the hospital corridor, I overheard several nurses whispering, "Did you hear? That woman in bed A2. She's had 4 or 5 abortions in just the past few months. She seems to have lost her mind, calling every man she sees by the same name. It's a real tragedy." I followed their gaze and saw Ji Ningxing lying on the hospital bed. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were vacant, and she mumbled incessantly, "I'm sorry, Yixuan. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I will have a child with you." The person who once wanted me to feel guilty for the rest of my life was now drowning in guilt towards me. "Sirs are right." Su Liyuan approached me with the report. "What are you looking at?" I faced her. "Nothing. Just saw something that made me happy. By the way, let's switch to a better private hospital." Su Liyuan nodded. "Okay." After that, our lives were filled with happiness, year after year.